attack Christians and others who are else, then you have to take it to your and that you can be attacked really that, and you can be attacked by nuclear weapons. So for that, what Israel did is the life savior for the free world and serves the national security interests of other nations, predominantly the United States of America, and that is why President Trump's decision serves the national security interests of the United States of America.
Amen. I agree with that. And I'm curious, I want to talk about some of the bigger implications, how it may change the region, where we're going with a possible Saudi-Israeli deal. But first, there's been a cost, certainly, to Israel. Lynn and my wife and I, were just in Yam a couple days, Thursday morning, just after the second attack there.
And today they declared Yvette Moscovich, the new, another dead person, 95-year-old Holocaust survivor, okay, from that area.
Yeah.
They keep on unraveling more and more bodies, unfortunately. We saw even a center for kids with special needs in B'nai Brak. We were in a class where all the kids have to be with respirators to learn. The whole class is demolished, okay? That's what these guys do. And we target, of course, only their military capabilities and their nuclear capabilities.
Amen.
But that will not deter us. The Israeli nation is enormously resilient and understands this is another chapter in our historic homecoming, and create a real fact in the minds of all our enemies that we're here to stay forever, and the only way to move on with us is by peace and accommodation.
Is it fair to say that Iran's regime, wicked and evil that it is, has unified Israel in a way that we were so divided before October 7th and this war?
We are divided because we are a democracy, and the views are different on all issues you can imagine under the sun. Same like the United States of America. Let's understand that.
Sure.
But the enemy always unites us.
What's your message to the Saudi leadership, and what's your message to the people of Iran?
Right. So I believe that the great victory and the great next chapter should be normalization between Israel and the Arab states around us more and more. We had the peace agreement with Egypt and Jordan, then the Abraham Accords with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and further movement. The next grand vision should be normalization with Saudi Arabia. I truly believe that the sons of Abraham, and Isaac and Ishmael, they should all get together and dwell in this land peacefully. And I think Jew and Muslim and Christian, of course, all need to live in this land peacefully. That's what the grand vision is, and it's a beautiful vision and can be realized if we work properly and correctly and boldly. And that can transform, by the way, huge things in the world. If you connect Israel to India, then through the Saudi Arabia, you connect Europe to Southeast Asia, and the United States to Australia. This is a huge vision. That's where we should
It is.
focus.
And your message to Iran, the people of
And
Iran?
I tell the people of Iran, I just said it also in an interview in Iran International, we don't have any war with the people of Iran. We have huge respect. They're wise people, brilliant people. It's a great historic nation. They've been taken over by a very extreme ideology, a very oppressive regime. And I do hope that they will realize the opportunity and bring change by themselves, for themselves.
Well, Eric, we're still processing all that's happened here, but I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with President Isaac Herzog, his first interview on TBN. We'll show the full interview on the Rosenberg Report on Thursday night, but so glad to be able to share this with you. God bless from Jerusalem.
We are witnessing a much-needed shift in America back to faith, family, and freedom. With President Trump back in power, there is a renewed push for law and order, but as this shift gains ground, the left is reeling, clinging to chaos, defending lawlessness, and doubling down on its radical ideology. Joining us tonight is former police officer, fearless truth teller, Turning Point USA contributor, and host of the Officer Tatum Show. Brandon Tatum is back with us. Brandon, always great to see you. Number one, we love your shirt. If you could show us the full shirt real quick. I support who? I support Israel. Amen. Operation Rising Lion. You've got the line, Brandon. Hey, first impressions of this incredible, I'd say, teamwork between the U.S. and Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Trump working together. Peace through strength is back. Big takeaways from you thus far on this incredible operation against Iran's terror regime and its nuclear program.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And I think that this is a perfect example of an America First agenda. Why do I say that? It's because when Iran gets a nuclear weapon, it is damaging not only to our allies, but to America. So to see Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump working together to eliminate the threat that we know of as the Iranian leadership, who has said plenty of times, unless you just don't have a connected brainstem and you don't understand what's going on, they've said plenty of times that they want death to America, death to Israel, death to our allies. So to watch this methodically go through military action that was swift, that was, probably the best that we've ever seen, and especially America's position in this, where we had our strikes overnight in a tactical way, and we just completely destroyed their nuclear capabilities. It was incredible to see, man. And it's exciting that America is showing, strength through force that is necessary. It's kind of disheartening to see some who are against Donald Trump all of a sudden, although he spent his entire campaign saying that Iran cannot get nuclear weapons. But I'll leave this on an optimistic note. I think it was good. It went well. Good operation. Great team working together with Israel. And it's good to see.
Yeah, moral clarity. Imagine that. And a message to all the world's despots. China's watching, North Korea, Russia, they're all watching President Trump with a strong statement on Saturday night. And Israel continuing to demolish Iran's military capabilities. Just amazing to see. Hey, speaking of unrest and peace through strength, we've had riots here in the U.S. over the past few weeks, Los Angeles in particular. President Trump, again, calls in the National Guard, some U.S. Marines. You're a former law enforcement officer, obviously, Brandon. What was your take on President Trump's handling of the L.A. riots in particular, which were really getting ICE agents being physically attacked?
Well, it's what I voted for. I voted for Donald Trump to stand up for the American people and do what's right. It's crazy to me that California decides to throw a fit and want to protest and say negative things about the president because he's enforcing federal law that we all as a nation agreed that this would be law. If they wanted the law to change, then countries could get together and change the laws. But as the law stand in the books, you cannot remain or enter into this country illegally. I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that. And for people who are hardened criminals, who are going out and trafficking people and committing violent crimes, we're coming for you. And you have to leave our country. And this is what we voted for. It's not about whether you have compassion or not. I think this is a very compassionate approach because we are going to eliminate people from trying to come over into this country. And then when we remove people, and some of them who self-deport, you can come over here through the proper channels the right way. If you want to contribute to America, have respect for our country, and watching some of the fallout in California, Donald Trump was able to expose that.
It's easy in what strong leadership, again, can do, including in California by President Trump, not by Gavin Newsom, clearly. At the end of the day, Brandon, it seems to be just plain common sense, President Trump's policies. Speaking of which, we had a healthy dose, finally, of common sense at the Supreme Court last week. A story kind of overshadowed by everything happening in the Middle East, but the Supreme Court upheld a Tennessee law banning gender mutilation surgeries for minors. This was a big win, I think, Brandon, against the trans and gender madness targeting our kids. What was your take on that? How big was this decision at the Supreme Court last week?
Well, it's monumental for a few reasons. One is that it seems like a restoration of common sense. We shouldn't even have this conversation about kids getting mutilated like that when many of them grow out of it. If you give them a little bit of time, a little bit of love, and having a strong father in their home, I think a lot of these kids will grow out of that phase of feeling like they have an identity crisis. So to see that the Supreme Court has ruled in the proper direction, I think and I'm hoping that it will have an impact around the country, that people will begin to wake up and realize this is completely asinine to subjugate children to these operations that you cannot change. Let them grow up and be adults, and we'll pray for them. But in America, you can choose what you want at the appropriate age. And a child does not make these decisions and should not make such crucial, unchangeable decisions in their life.
Amen. Brandon, so well said on all counts. Hey, you mentioned prayer and faith. President Trump has this faith office, I mean, literally next to the West Wing. And Saturday night, I was very struck by him acknowledging God and thanking God and saying, "We love you, God," in his statement at the White House announcing the destruction of those Iranian nuclear sites. About a minute left. Are you encouraged with what we're seeing in America right now? Even Gen Z turning more to faith and reading the Bible. Do you see encouraging signs right now in terms of a possible revival in this nation?
Well, anytime you see the president, which is the highest office in the land, the person who has the most power in the entire world, in my opinion, saying that he's thankful to God, that makes me happy. And I hope that it really, conjures up a little bit of zeal in people who have been coasting in their faith, that they can rise up and say, if the president is bold enough to say it, I can say it. So I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic when you're dealing with God. God can change things in a split second. God has given us an incredible nation, and I'm glad to see our leaders acknowledge God as well.
Amen. It is a new day for sure, not only in America, but in the Middle East. Great things happening. Officer Brandon Tatum, thank you so much, my friend. Folks, be sure to follow him on X and across social media. Brandon, God bless. We'll see you again soon. And coming up after the break, my final thoughts on the movement that we see not only in the Middle East, but in America, the prophetic implications. That's next. Stick around. Exciting times. Hey, tomorrow, Cliff Mayes here and Tal Heinrich with a great Middle East breakdown, moving the ball forward. What comes next? That's tomorrow. We'll see you then. God bless. See you soon.